Hello, once again, another Saturday morning, another edition of 10 Minutes on the Clock with LI495, aka Akeem Balaam. So what's good on the internet and what is good in life here on The Real Sports Talk, as well as not only here on our YouTube page, but also on our brand spanking new website that we just set up, that really Tim set up about 48 hours ago, this past Thursday night, heading into Friday. So actually, not only now are we on YouTube, but we in fact have our own website as well, and it's pretty much the exact same great comment that you get from our YouTube page, but also we're going to be writing columns, we're going to be adding new writers, we're going to be adding new content, as well as a lot of other great features that are going to be coming down the pipe very, very real soon on our website, so keep out on the watch for that. Okay, let's get right into it. Of course, the big story this week was the Miami Heat prevailing over the Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 games, as a matter of fact, not 6 or 7, as LeBron James once infamously said after he announced his decision to go to the Miami Heat, but actually they defeated him in 5 games to win their second NBA championship in their franchise history. Both championships have been won in the Dwayne Wade era. Now, looking back at this series, turns out I was completely wrong. I figured that the Miami Heat would have a disadvantage as far as the bench is concerned as opposed to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I thought that the Miami Heat were over-reliant when it came to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. You saw the way that they won versus the Indiana Pacers and also versus the Boston Celtics. But then again, that Indiana Pacers series, they played without Chris Bosh, and even though they won a Game 6 over the Boston Celtics when LeBron James scored 45 points, I did not like the Heat's chances going into that series with the Oklahoma City Thunder solely on the basis of their bench and also on a lot of other things, but I thought that it was going to be a difference. And it was. Actually, when it counted the most, players not named LeBron James, players not named Dwayne Wade, players not named Chris Bosh actually stepped up and provided pretty good minutes and had actually pretty good games for the Miami Heat versus the Thunder. Game 4, Mario Chalmers went off for 25 points. You wonder if he was wearing his Kansas Jayhawks jersey underneath his Miami Heat gear, because he played like it was the 2008 Final Four all over again when Kansas, of course, won the national championship. That happened in Game 4 when they went up 3-1. And then the closeout game, Mike Miller, of all people, come again. At one point in that game, he had as many 3-point shots as he had fouls. He had 4 fouls against him, but he also had four 3-point shots. And it turns out that he ended that game 7 for 8 from 3, and they actually hit a grand total of 14 3-pointers, which actually is an NBA Finals record. So downtown was pretty good for the Miami Heat, if you know what I'm talking about, and it turns out that they are your NBA champions. LeBron James is your NBA Finals MVP. He averaged 28 points this NBA Finals. He had great games all throughout, including in that Game 1 in a losing effort for Miami, but this, of course, is eventually going to go back in one way or another to LeBron James eventually. Because wasn't it Dan Gilbert who wrote that idiotic letter in Comic Sans MS? And in fact, I already wrote a column earlier about this, talking about the NBA Finals, so bear with me. But wasn't it Dan Gilbert who wrote that letter and posted it on the Cleveland Cavaliers website, talking about that he was guaranteeing, quote-unquote, that the Cleveland Cavaliers would win a championship before the self-titled former King wins one? Now, of course, you probably got to think, okay, he was just writing that out of blind rage, he was just writing that out of blind emotion, but really, there are a lot of people in the state of Ohio, and in particular in Northeast Ohio, in that Cleveland area, that are deifying this guy like they want to elect him mayor, and they're totally forgetting about the fact that before he was even involved with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he made his money for the most part as a casino tycoon from Michigan. He's the most beloved Michigan man in the state of Ohio at this point. When did a Michigan man ever was beloved in the state of Ohio? But Dan Gilbert was. But eventually, this is going to go back to LeBron James because he won Finals MVP. He took over this team. He's the one that scored all those points. He's the one that clearly was playing with a chip on his shoulder after the decision. He was the one getting scrutinized by a lot of people, myself included, who thought that he handled the decision in a rather poor fashion. But you know what? All that is vindicated, because the main reason that LeBron stated for him wanting to go to Miami in the first place was that he wanted to win a championship. And of course, he proclaimed that he wanted to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. And I don't think he's going to get to 7 or 8 or 9, but there's certainly championships. There's certainly more of them in LeBron James's future, because right now he is 26 years old. So right now he's entering the prime of his career, and this is going to be the point in his career over the next 10 years that will really define, I believe, LeBron's legacy as an NBA player. Everybody's already talking about how he's going to be one of the top 10 greatest players of all time. Put on the brakes, ESPN, before we start talking about that. He has the potential to be, and he's on the road to being that, but he's 26 years old. Let's see what happens in the future if he continues to have all these great years, which he really should. But let's see what happens in the future before we just start putting him right up there with Magic and Michael and Larry Bird and everybody else. But anyway, congratulations to the Miami Heat. Oklahoma City Thunder is a young team. Now, of course, James Harden had the biggest disappearing act in this NBA Finals since Houdini. Houdini is jealous right now of the disappearing act James Harden had. In 2 of the games that James Harden played in, Game 3 and Game 4, each of them, he went 2 of 10, and he didn't shoot all that well from 3. In fact, he shot horribly from three-point land. In one game, he only had 9 points, and in another, he had only 8 points. Once again, this dude was supposed to be the 6th man of the year, and really was a huge reason as to why Oklahoma City lost this NBA Finals, because, once again, going back to the bench, and in particular what happened in that Game 5, Miami's bench actually dominated Oklahoma's bench, and they got huge contributions when they needed it from Shane Battier as well as Mike Miller. So once again, congrats to the Miami Heat, your 2012 NBA champions. Congrats to everybody down there in Miami, as well as owner Mickey Harrison, and as well as the flagship station for the Miami Heat, 790 The Ticket. Moving on to a couple of other stories before we get on the heck out of here. R.A. Dickey. Who's putting R.A. Dickey? How did he all of a sudden become one of the premier pitchers in Major League Baseball? Now again, a lot of this could be a lot of New York hype, but 11-1 is 11-1, and a 2 ERA is a 2 ERA. He's pitching himself into the All-Star game. He had 2 consecutive one-hitters, one against the Tampa Bay Rays, one against the Baltimore Orioles. In that Tampa Bay Rays game, you can perhaps argue it could have been a no-no, but then again, the Mets have already been the beneficiary of a call that contributed to a no-hitter earlier, so that's water under the bridge at this point. But R.A. Dickey, he's going to be starting this Sunday in the Subway Series versus C.C. Sabathia, Mets, Yankees, and R.A. Dickey's going to be pitching on the big stage in the Subway Series against the New York Yankees. But he's pitching himself into the All-Star game as well as into the Cy Young conversation. And the last topic I want to get into before I get out of here is the creation of the new CBS Sports Radio Network. They're going to be doing this in collaboration with Cumulus Media, which owns a lot of sports stations across the country. And CBS Sports Radio Network is going to be launching this January of 2013, January 2nd, 2013, and a lot of their stations that they're going to be picking up, a lot of the affiliations that they're going to get, will air this new sports radio channel that will have a 24/7 lineup, unlike NBC Sports Radio channel that's going to be debuting in phases, because NBC Sports Radio channel is only going to have updates and a couple of shows at night. This thing is going to be 24/7 right out of the gate, pretty much saying, NBC, sorry, we got infrastructure in place, you don't, next time try again. But yeah, CBS Sports Radio launching their new sports radio venture this January the 2nd, and a lot of stations will be airing it on a 24/7 basis, including WIP 610 in Philadelphia. And in my estimation, WFAN 660 will also be airing that as well once they move that thing to 92.3 in New York. So that's it. Miami Heat, congratulations to them. They're your 2012 NBA champions. The new website, R.A. Dickey and CBS Sports Radio Network. So, what you think of all this? Rate, comment, react, reply, add, and subscribe. Once again, look forward to reading your comments. As always, I'm just one guy talking about nothing. Check out our YouTube, our Facebook, our new Twitter, @TR Sports Talk, as well as our brand spanking new website. Look forward to more content coming forth with that. So until next time, I'm just one guy talking about nothing. 10 minutes on the clock on the Real Sports Talk with LI495. See you on the internet someplace next week and also on our website.